Japan Station is made possible in part by amazing people like you. If you'd like to make sure that I can keep bringing you more content about Japan, the Japanese culture, and the Japanese language, then consider joining the Patreon over at japankyo.com/Patreon. You can join for as little as $1 a month, and that will get you early access to episodes, plus ad-free versions. I also take one-time donations over on Ko-fi, Venmo, and PayPal. Links are down below.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Japan Station.
Welcome to Japan Station, the podcast where we teach you everything you should know about Japan, plus a few other things. I'm your host, founder of JapanKyo.com and the Anime Linguist on YouTube, as well as that legally blind guy who has walked 1,400 kilometers across Japan. And well, this fall I'm going to be walking even more, but that is for another episode. So today we're talking about the JET program, you know, that government-run program that hires native English speakers to teach English in Japan. What's the good? What's the bad about the JET program? So this is an episode that was originally broadcast as an episode of my other Japan-focused podcast, Ichimon Japan. I'm no longer producing that show, but I'm re-releasing those episodes over here. So this is a few years old, but the information here is still very interesting and pretty relevant. The only thing that I really want to emphasize here is that the value of the yen has continued to, well, get worse and worse and worse relative to the dollar. Today is June 10th, in U.S. time, and 2026, by the way. And the current value of the yen to the dollar is 160.53, I think. Last I checked, like maybe 8 hours ago. So, that is really, really bad compared to how it used to be. So I was on the JET program in Kobe in 2010 to 2013. Yeah, that was a really long time ago, I know. And I was earning a pretty good amount of money. So I was earning 300,000 yen a month. And on top of that, the exchange rate was really good. I think it was something like, 100 yen to like $1.10, something like that. So I was exchanging money into dollars, and that was, I think, the right choice. I wasn't spending a lot of money, and I was able to put it into dollars. And then I went back to the U.S. and went on to grad school and all that, and I was able to save up a good amount of money. So that all worked out for me. Since then, of course, like I said, the yen has crumbled in value and continues to go down. And aside from that, the payment structure is not as good as it used to be. You get paid significantly less when you start out on your first year on the JET program. So purely from a financial perspective, the JET program is not as enticing as it used to be. That being said, I still think it's a wonderful program. And yes, it has plenty of problems, but it provides you with a really unique opportunity to see an aspect of Japan that most of us who did not grow up in Japan would never get to see firsthand. We get to work in schools with kids, participate in school events like the culture festival, the sports day, have lunch with the kids, etc., etc. These are the kinds of things that you see in Japanese media and all that. And it's different, of course, just seeing it in media as opposed to actually getting to experience it firsthand. And of course, the relationship that you build up with the teachers and the kids. Granted, not every single school is, a good situation. Sometimes you end up in some lousy situations. I've experienced that myself. But overall, I really do think that the JET program is good as long as it's executed well, and that depends on your school, and, well, you are okay given the, let's just say, the unfortunate circumstances involving pay. So that is something you have to take into consideration. You could probably get paid more in an American job, for example, but then again, you also sometimes get free housing and stuff like that, in depending on where you get placed on the JET program. But I won't go on and on here because I think I am going to say some of the same stuff in the upcoming episode. I just really wanted to highlight the financial aspect because that has continued to get worse and worse even after the recording of this episode. By the way, guys, if you're listening on a podcast app such as Apple Podcast that allows you to leave a rating to the show, I would really, really appreciate it if you leave a rating, and a review would be even better, but even a rating helps with the rankings. Like the other day, somebody left a rating on Apple Podcasts, and I noticed the show jump up significantly in rankings. So please, if you've been listening for years and years and years, I know there's some of you who are exactly that. Please hit that subscribe button and, of course, leave a rating. Help me reach some new people. I would greatly appreciate that. All right, guys, let's get into the episode. Yeah, absolutely.
Though at a certain point, it turns back around. Like once they're over like 60, then they're definitely down for like hanging out and having drinks with you.
Oh yes, yeah. There's like a curve. You gotta hit the right part of the curve.
Yeah.
The young ones want to hang out with you, and the really old ones want to hang out with you.
Exactly.
Welcome to Ichimon Japan. I'm Tony.
And I'm Ryan.
And I'm Lynn.
Once again,
oh, whoops, sorry. I'm like, where did I go in?
We have an impatient guest today.
I know. I'm like, let me introduce myself.
Well, there you go.
People need to know my name.
Lynn. So no, Lynn. I think everybody that has listened to the show before probably heard the three of us talk in the Japanese counters episode. I don't remember what number that is, but it was like maybe 3 episodes ago.
732.
I don't think so, but yeah, we were all classmates. We all got our masters in Japanese language and linguistics here in Hawaii, and we always love catching up and talking about Japan and language stuff. So welcome back, Lynn.
Yay!
Hello, Lynn.
All right.
Hello.
Hey. So, so Ichimon means one question, and every episode we ask a question about Japan. Today's question is, what was good and bad about your JET experience? So,
I'm currently still on JET, so to protect my job, everything was good.
Yeah. Ryan, say what you feel comfortable saying. Anyway, to explain here. So, of course, I think probably anybody listening to this is familiar with the JET program, but just in case you're not, it's a program run by the Japanese government that, for the most part, what they do is they hire native English speakers to teach in schools, in public schools in Japan. There's also, the CIR position, which is kind of like an organizer, translator kind of position. There's also like a sports related position. We're not really going to talk about that so much because all three of us were in the ALT position, which is assistant language teacher. So what you do is you go to the school and you teach English, or you team teach with the native Japanese teacher at the school. So
I didn't know the sports position existed.
It's very, very rare as far as I can tell. I've never met anybody that was in that like sports. I think it's like a sports advisor-ish kind of thing. I'm not really sure, but
I'm tempted to say I think my area doesn't have one, but I feel like if I say that, like tomorrow, I'll find out one of my best friends there is like, "Oh yeah, that's my job." I'm like, "Oh, whoops."
Yeah. I've never met anybody, so I don't know. I get the impression that that is the rarest of the JET positions.
I agree.
Because every place seems to have a CIR, and then there's a whole bunch of ALTs. Well,
yeah, I feel like there's like 5 ALTs for every one CIR.
Or sometimes a lot bigger difference. Like in Kobe, it was over 100 ALTs and like 1 or 2 CIRs. So
yeah, sounds about right.
But anyway, yeah. So I was in Kobe for 3 years. Lynn, where were you?
I was in Yamagata Prefecture, and I actually had 2 placements. So one was Nagai City, and I was at the Board of Education there. And I was at 8 schools, so 2 junior high schools and 6 elementary schools. And then my second placement for 2 years was at, I was part of the Yamagata Prefecture Board of Education, but was at one high school, and then I did a business trip 2 days out of the week to a different high school.
Wow. So was your base, so to speak, the Board of Education building, and then you would...
It was the first high school that I was at, so I was at 3 times a week, and then that was my base, and then the one I went to business trips on, that was my like visit school, is usually what we call it.
Okay. And I mean, listeners of the show may remember, but Ryan, you are in Ishikawa, right?
I am in Ishikawa, and originally I was at one school, then I was in 2 schools, and now I'm in 3 schools.
Oh, okay. And,
all of them are the same city. It's just, I think this episode's going up soon enough that I can say Corona's still actively going, so we haven't been getting new teachers, so they've been kind of spreading us a little thin.
Right. And what levels are the schools that you're at?
I do high school for all of them.
Okay. All right. So, I did junior high, elementary school, and a school for the blind, all in Kobe. So, I think we can talk a little bit about kind of our overall experiences, and then we can maybe share a few more specific things. Nothing is perfect. I mean, I think we should just say this disclaimer right away. JET is not perfect. Nothing is perfect. The Japanese school system is not perfect. The American school system is not perfect. Like, nothing is perfect. So just because we may say something good or bad, it doesn't mean that we think something good or bad about, whatever else. So, we're just sharing our own personal experiences, and that doesn't necessarily reflect everybody's experiences. But overall, I certainly don't regret going on JET. I think, I got far more benefits out of it than anything negative, but it also certainly wasn't perfect. But I can share something. For example, one negative experience that I had, and then maybe we can just go from there. But so in Kobe, we would have evaluations, right? You have to do kind of a team teaching thing with one of your teachers at the school, and then the CIR, the what do they call them? Like the native English coordinator and the Japanese coordinator would go and observe you, and then you get kind of a report at the end. They sit down with you, you have a little meeting, and they tell you like, this is what you could do, this was good, blah blah blah. So I do this class, this kind of sample lesson with the real class with the English teacher, and she was a very, very nice young woman. I think she was probably fresh out of college, or maybe it was her second or maybe third year, probably like second or first, but nice woman. But her English was not good. Her Japanese, her
good.
class was her Japanese was fine,
Language
but it was
a struggle.
too much. She just did not communicate at all. I don't know what. No. Her Japanese was fine. It's just that she used too much of it in class, and this was, and for me to communicate with her, like I would try to speak some English with her, but there were times when it was just easier and more effective to just speak with her in English. But in Japanese. But anyway, in the class, I would try to speak in English, but she would use Japanese in the class. And so then afterwards, in that kind of evaluation meeting where she's not present, but the 2 people evaluating my class are, they tell me like, oh, overall, we like the activity that you did, it was good and this and that. And they were positive, but we want you to use, we think the Japanese teacher should use more English in the class. And so, I agreed, but then I was like, I think I asked, all right, so what can I do? and they didn't really have an answer for me. It's like, you can try talking to her. And you go, okay, it's just, I got put in this kind of awkward situation where I wasn't sure how to get her to speak more English when I fully understood that she didn't feel comfortable speaking English.
Mm-hmm. They wanted you to talk to her about it?
Yeah. Basically, they wanted me to kind of push her, but I
I can't imagine my school doing that. I think if they had something to say to her, they would just say it to her directly.
Yeah, and so I don't know what kind of evaluations like they get in terms of that, but that was the situation that I was in. So I ultimately just kept kind of doing what I was doing, and I would try to speak English with her, try to use English in the classroom. But when she's explaining everything was in Japanese, and I couldn't really, I'm not in a position to say, hey, you're teaching this wrong, because that's not my job, right? So, and I think this kind of comparable situations are not rare on JET, but again, my personal experience, but that was early on in my first year, probably in the first 3 or 4 months. I was like, okay, I'll just do what I can, but there really isn't anything that ultimately I would be able to do to fundamentally change that situation. But Lynn, have you had any similar troubles or anything you can think of that kind of was not particularly great at the beginning, perhaps?
I think for me, so I am a bilingual speaker of Japanese and English. And because the first place I was at was so 2 junior high schools, 6 elementary schools, and when I first went on to JET, it was a new policy that you had to do English in elementary schools. So if anything, I think that none of the elementary school teachers were expected to be good at English. Right. And so it was definitely one of those things. Yeah, do your best. And then it was actually a good thing that I could speak Japanese, because that means that the Japanese teachers could actually communicate with me, because they could not speak English. But I do think definitely the most awkward type of classes, because we were supposed to be team teaching, right? That was the biggest thing, because we were, our job title was assistant language teacher, right? Most JETs that are ALTs do not have a education license, and they do not have a Japanese education license, which means that liability wise, we weren't supposed to be in the classroom alone.
Exactly.
But what would happen for some classes, especially when the Japanese teacher of English was uncomfortable with teaching English in the elementary school level, is they'd be like, here you go, we want you to do this lesson, we'll be in the back. And then they're in the back with a camera taking pictures of us doing a lesson with the kids, right? So it was kind of like, but also it'd be good for the kids to see people who are not necessarily the most confident in their English still trying, right? Because that would be like a good teaching moment, right? You don't have to be good to try. Exactly. But no, it would just be there in the back taking pictures, and me doing kind of a lesson. So that was kind of awkward. The other one, I did have one school that for some reason they insisted on having both ALTs in the class. So our city had 2 ALTs at the time. And they insisted on calling both ALTs to the classroom at the same time. So it would be one Japanese teacher and 2 ALTs. And when you're, because when you're an ALT, right, you're expected to be the expert of language of English, right, in the classroom. So they'll ask you a question, and you just kind of answer either in English, or, you just kind of, produce language, right? Produce English for the kids to interact with. But when there's 2 and the teacher just asks a question, oftentimes, we would either talk over each other on accident because it was a general question, and we're both used to being the authority figure for English in the room. Right. Or we would do that and talk over each other, and then we would just, neither of us would answer the question because we're just expecting the other one to, and then it'd just be really awkward. So those were the 2 super awkward experiences.
Or you'd have a fist fight because you disagreed if it was either or either.
Pretty much, yeah. We would just be like, you know what? This is a Alaska Colorado showdown for linguistic prowess. Yep. That would pretty much be what it was. So.
Oh my god! And then you introduce regional differences and British versus, it's oh my god, that's tricky. But at my junior high, I was talking about my experience at my junior high. There were 2 ALTs there, so me and another person, and so there were times when both of us would go to the same class, but that was only when one of us had the extra time, or my class had been canceled, I had nothing else to do, and so I would just go and join, or vice versa, and we would have fun. But we were never asked to both go there, and that's a little weird.
Yeah, it was definitely pretty awkward.
I gotta say, I'm jealous of that. In my area, I am the biggest school that only has one ALT.
Oh.
Even though I'm at 3, I'm at one of them every single day. I just do mornings at a different school. And like all the other high schools of equivalent size have 2 ALTs, and I just get to do all of it solo, which makes grading tests pretty time consuming.
I bet.
True. Yeah, it can certainly be nice to have another like not Japanese person there with you. You have somebody to talk to sometimes, or you guys can help each other out. I've worked with.
I'm not friendly. I assume I would hate them.
Well, the bad part is when hey, sometimes some people, on Jet, just like in any other workplace, like, not everybody is like the kind of person that you want to be around necessarily. And so if you do get stuck with somebody like that, then that could be a very unpleasant situation. Thankfully, all 3 people that I worked with were fun and nice people. And I still definitely keep in touch with one of them, and he came to visit me in Hawaii. And so, that can be a wonderful, experience too. But, Jet is of course known for sending people to very rural places. and if you don't have, another person there to kind of relate to and to be able to talk to, that can especially be pretty tough, I would say. Now, I was in Kobe, so I was very much in the city, but Ryan, it seems like you are in a more rural area, but there seems like there's a fair amount of other ALTs in here as well.
The people who live here think it's rural. It is not rural. It's like large suburb. Maybe medium suburb by like American standards. We have over 100,000 people.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Because I know people who are in... Okay, the most extreme example, I forgot what it was, but someone went to like some like an island that Japanese people don't know the name of because it's so small.
I've heard plenty of stories like that.
I don't remember, but he didn't actually live on the island, so he had to like take a 6 a.m. ferry there, and there was literally 2 ferries a day, one at like 6 a.m. and one at like 7 p.m.
Yeah. I've heard a few people are like basically literally like in the middle of the mountains, and they have to drive up mountains to go to their schools, and they go to like 10 different schools. So there's certainly no shortage of stories.
And I think it was like elementary, junior high, high school combined, and had like 50 students or something.
That sounds... Yep. I think my smallest class was 2 second graders.
Wow.
But that was also a very small school, I think. And then the largest class at that school was, I think it was 10 fifth graders was the largest class. But
my largest is like 42.
40, okay, yeah, that's around where my classes were in junior high, so that's pretty populated. That's too many almost, I would say. So,
I think that's like pushing the line of like, I think you're only really supposed to have like 40.
Yeah. I think we are too. I think we have
plus
40.
Or minus. Mm-hmm.
I think they maybe put like one of the doesn't actually go to school students in the class though, so they could make it like a virtual 40 or a functional 40.
That would make sense.
So I'm pretty sure this isn't like universal thing that you're just not aware of when you're a student, but there's always some number of people who are enrolled that literally never show up.
Yes. Yeah. It's like, suddenly they show up like to go to the principal's office for some reason. You go like,
like they'll show up on some random assembly day or something.
Yeah. Definitely, yeah. So, Ryan, were you? I know that you had never been to Ishikawa and probably didn't know all that much about it, but were you happy with the placement? How have things turned out?
Yeah. So as before coming here, everyone had told me it was like super, super rural. So I was a little worried, but it's totally not. I guess they all just compared themselves to Tokyo or something.
Sure.
The area, I think I've mentioned this before, is surprisingly foreigner friendly. Not that Japan's exactly unfriendly to foreigners, but this place, for a middle of nowhere place, even though it's not like rural, it is kind of far from everywhere famous. They have like even foreign culture festivals, and they definitely view diversity as a super positive thing. So like the people have been very, very friendly and welcoming, and it's small, but it has everything like necessary for me, at least. I was very lucky that they opened a movie theater here like 2 weeks before I arrived.
Just for you.
Yeah, it's my movie theater.
Ryan's coming. We need to build a movie theater.
Yeah.
We actually got a whole new shopping mall, like, I think 2 weeks to 3 weeks before I arrived.
Right.
I mean, I feel like 100,000. That's a good population to be able to sustain.
Yeah, I guess in the past it was legitimately small, but it's been consistently growing and also like merged with other cities. So especially the older people still have this mindset of like, oh, we're Inaka, middle of nowhere, but they're not. We actually have a Starbucks and we have 2 McDonald's.
Oh, 2. Now you're bragging.
And we're getting a Subway soon.
Oh, whoa.
Subway.
Whoa, moving
Wow.
up there. Moving up there.
Subway restaurant,
Yeah.
not like trains.
Right. Yeah, I figured. Okay. So it seems like at least in that area, that is I don't know, a city that's growing, perhaps.
Yeah.
But,
Considering everywhere in Japan is shrinking, we're not.
Right. Well,
Most of the
it's all
families
kind
here
of-
still have like 2 or 3 kids, which is kind of surprising.
oh wow.
I don't know if I'll say most.
I guess, yeah,
Many.
It's concentrating in cities, and that happens to be the one in the area, perhaps.
In case it is not well known for our viewers, Japan has a shrinking population that has been an ongoing problem because many couples are having either no kids or 1 kid, and they generally don't let immigrants in.
Yeah.
So being in a city that is not shrinking is kind of rare.
Yeah, exactly. That is not shrinking and is not one of the major ones that you would assume.
Yeah.
Like,
The major ones
obviously
maybe don't
Tokyo,
shrink just because
Osaka.
people move there. We're actually not shrinking
Yeah.
because of kids being born.
That's pretty rare. I think my first city was 30,000. Well, was not even 30,000. And so the big thing was, let's get to 30,000.
And we never did.
I don't
do
know,
it.
but I do know that there was this very awkward. I went to a work dinner, and one of my coworkers walks in who was just off of maternity leave. So she had just had her 4th child. And
Wow.
so she walks in, and somebody's like, "Oh yeah, didn't you have like, I hear you're off of maternity leave." She's like, "Oh yeah." And then she's like, "Oh, what number kid is it?" And then so she's like, "Oh, my 4th kid, my 2nd son." And then
Standing
the men
ovation.
gave her a
Standing
standing ovation. No,
ovation.
literally gave her a standing ovation. I'm like, this is the most awkward I've ever felt in my life. I don't know how I feel about this, but something about
Thank you
this,
for your service, ma'am.
pretty much. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's, I don't know, that's bordering on some like awkward territory here.
Yes, it is. I know.
Yeah, so but that's, I guess, how desperate the city was for
Yeah.
people to repopulate the area.
I will say where I live, we don't have a campaign like that going on. So when they have kids, I think they just want to have families.
Yeah,
That's
oh,
good.
That's good.
That's good.
So, Lynn, I mean, I know you had been to Japan, all that, yeah,
You've been to Japan?
but yeah. Before then, you're part Japanese and all that, but
What part?
that what part
The
of
right
Japan?
half. The right half.
Oh, okay.
The left
I
half
thought
is
so.
all white.
Thought so. But I assume you hadn't been to Yamagata, and you went there. How did it turn out? Were you happy with being in Yamagata?
Yeah, so I had never been in Yamagata. I'd heard about it, and then I looked up my city, and there were literally 3 sentences on Wikipedia, and I was like, okay, cool.
It is in Japan.
It
People
is in
live here.
Japan. That is all I know. But when I got my little like welcome packet, right? One of the first things was like, your rent will be, and then they have a number and then yen, right? And it's like a fill in the blank
Yeah.
kind of thing. So my number was 0, and I was like, oh, interesting. How's this going to turn out?
You were homeless.
So when I got there, I was homeless. No, I was not
Yamagata
homeless.
culture. You got to experience being homeless.
You actually have to make your own snow house to live in the wintertime.
Right.
No, that would have been I feel like I've gone into, I don't know, I feel like that experience would have given me a bit more to work with when I came back. But no,
You're from Alaska. You should be good at snow houses.
You would think so. But we do have central heating in Alaska, and that is something that central Japan does not have. But yeah, and so I got there, and actually our apartment was an old hospital housing unit.
Whoa.
So it's where we lived right next to the old city hospital, and so it was the housing unit that they had built for the doctors and nurses and people like that who worked at the city hospital. But
really
it was no
interesting.
longer a housing unit because the first floor had been renovated into a kindergarten. And on the second floor, there was a nonprofit organization that was working out of one of the apartments. And then on the top floor were where the two ALTs lived. So that was kind of like,
So
and it was
unique.
just
Okay.
like in order to pay our water bill, we'd have to go over to the hospital and go to like the little jumusho, the office they had there, to give and to pay our water bill. And it'd be this lady, and she would have this tin can that had change in it, and we just give her the money, and then she would count the change from the tin can and give us the change. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. But I mean, so it was a pretty small town. It was still a city, right? So it wasn't a machi yet. It hadn't gotten that small. But we taught all the students in that city from ages 6 to 15, which means that no matter what, somebody would see me somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And so that was, I mean, it was good in that, I mean, it's not like I would get in trouble or anything, right, in a city that small. But it was always kind of nice. And then but there was not a lot of privacy because, you'd go to like Daiso to, grab a few things, right? And then you would see 5 of your students also at Daiso grabbing a few things. Right? Or you'd go to the supermarket. And then the next day, one of your students would be like, hey, my mom works at the supermarket and saw you buying X, Y, and Z. So I think that part of it was kind of very different from what I was used to. And then my second city was a bit bigger. There were like, I think 4 or 5 high schools there. And in that city, I had a bit more like privacy. I could go out with coworkers right after work, and then I wouldn't hear about it the next day from a student. So I think, but overall, though, I did like both of my cities, and they're definitely probably a lot more rural than where Ryan is. But I do like the rural life. So I had a car though. I had a car. I was pretty much told you have to drive. In order to work here. So I did have a car, and that was it gave me a lot of freedom to go to other cities and do stuff.
I do also have a car, and my life enjoyment did skyrocket when I got it. Because my first year I only had a bike, and it was basically like, especially because it rains an unbelievable amount here. I just didn't go out like the whole first year.
Oh,
that is rough.
Yeah. All right. I think it's a good time to take a break, but we'll be right back with some more jet experiences. Hey guys, if you're headed to Japan on the JET program or just to visit, it can be really helpful to have an actual Japanese phone number, and it's not hard to get one if you use Mobile. That's MOBAL. So Mobile provides SIM cards with Japanese phone numbers. They also have Wi-Fi devices. So if you just need one of those, you can go to Mobile. But if you are out to get the Japanese phone number, the voice and data SIM plan, you should use my affiliate link. That's mobile.com/Tony Japan. The link is in the show notes. You'll get 10% off, and I'll get a tiny little bit of financial support for what I do here. So we all win. Also, if you want a t-shirt and you want to support the show, check out mechanekosushi.com, MECHANEKO sushi.com. That's my online t-shirt shop where I put up t-shirts featuring designs by real Japanese artists. Well, it's one guy. He's my friend. He lives in Nagoya and he's amazing. Akihiro Horai. You should totally check it out. Even if you don't intend on buying, just check out the designs. Hopefully by the time you get this in your feed, a new design will have gone up with a cute, like actual literal interpretation of the Mecha Neko Sushi name, the brand. It's a fun design. So hopefully that'll be up by the time you hear this. All right, let's get back into the episode. All right, so we are back. Let's say a few nice things. So how about Ryan? What can you share with us? What has been particularly nice about your time teaching and working on as part of JET?
So I jokingly said at the beginning that it was a perfect experience, but honestly, my experience has been almost universally good. I guess real quick to go to the bad experience. I had a teacher I couldn't stand to work with, but she's not there anymore, so now everything's good.
Yeah, I mean, that happens, right? Like,
I won't go into details because I don't want it to be identifiable, but it's not only me that's happy that teacher's gone.
Yeah. That definitely happens, of course.
Aside from that, everything has been very, very, very good. I came in a little bit unique, so this was not my first teaching job in Japan. I'd already done teaching at various, like, Eikaiwa and another company that was private but kind of designed to compete with JET, but basically did the same thing. Mm-hmm. And I had experience teaching math in America and Japanese in America. So I actually have more teaching experience than probably like 30% of the English teachers I work with.
Yeah.
Which means they give me much more freedom. I've never been the like parrot person who just kind of stands in the background and says English every now and then. Usually I have complete control over my classes. Sometimes they give me direction, like we want a lesson on like ing, but then I can make whatever I want, teach it however I want. For the third year students, it's actually my class. I get to control absolutely everything.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
And I do have a Japanese teacher with me, but she teaches like as my assistant. She's another one that I'm actually also older than with more experience than. She's not a newbie though. She's like only a little bit younger than me. We do have like one teacher who's straight out of college who I think she looks like she would be nervous if she was alone. But anyway, I get to make my own test sections. I get to make my own lessons, usually in the class. It's supposed to be team teaching, but it's more like I do all the teaching, and then the JTE helps them if they have questions. I mean, I do too, but she helps me with like model conversations, but it's pretty much all me. The downside of that is I have probably more work than the average ALT for lesson preparation and grading. And I'm very concerned for whoever my replacement will someday be. Because if we get like a brand new teacher and they're expecting them to be someone with like 10 years of experience.
Yeah.
Especially because I can also do Japanese. So like the teachers who I absolutely, as a rule, never use Japanese in front of my students. Even though my teachers have irritatingly told the students I can speak Japanese.
Yeah.
But with the teachers who are less confident in English, I can still communicate with them in Japanese. But that's a rare thing, despite the three of us being able to do it. I think in my whole area, there's maybe like only one or two others who can.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if we get like a zero Japanese new teacher to replace me, it's going to be a bit of a shock for the other teachers, I think.
Yeah. Some of the stuff that you're describing there, I think, is like the fundamental kind of tricky parts of JET where, you have... you don't know who you're going to get. You don't know what level of experience you're going to get, to teach at that school. And then you also have like each different Japanese, native Japanese, teacher of English, has their own kind of agendas and priorities. And so you have so much variety within that of course you're going to get situations where people will be displeased, and it can be really tough to kind of mesh all that together into something that is really productive and successful. So I'm very happy that it has worked out for you though.
Oh, I do want to say the absolute best thing about my school, and this is not me just like trying to get good points in my school, the students are so great. They're so friendly and like happy, and I don't know any other way to say it except innocent. They're very childlike despite being like 16, 17 years old. For example, the strongest insult they know in English is crazy, which like no one cares about. Because like other schools, even in my area, they know like mother effer and stuff. So they'll sometimes just like shout that out in class. And mine won't do that. They don't even know that word.
Oh, that's nice.
And our biggest our biggest behavior thing is like they don't do their homework. I don't know, like considering when I worked at Osaka, we literally had people get in fistfights and one threw a chair out like the second floor window.
Yeah.
Here,
I have a very good friend that lived in Daito City in Osaka, and she told me some stories. So, yeah, I know some of those areas of Osaka can be pretty rough.
So it didn't happen to me. The worst I've heard is junior high students sexually harassing their teacher.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But yeah, here none of that. They are just like so like happy, nice, innocent kids. It's kind of funny because teachers get transferred every year. And everyone's unhappy when it happens because no one wants to like go to a new school and learn a new environment. But everyone that comes here is like, all the kids are so good here. This is the best school. I don't want to leave.
Well, there you go, guys. So, if you're lucky, you get to be in a situation like Ryan and everything's wonderful.
Definitely.
Lynn, so any particularly, unexpected nice things, something that you still remember you're glad that, things worked out a certain way or anything like that?
I think for me it would be I really did like my junior high school, elementary school placement. I was there for 3 years and then I had my 2 years at my two high schools, but I did like my high schools better. I feel like I got more of a connection. Well, one, there were only 2 schools instead of 8. But the thing I got to do is, so my base school, there was an English club, but I think there was one student and I didn't really have to go to it. And so I actually got to be like an unofficial coach of the Japanese archery club, which was something that I had been doing for at that point, maybe about 4 or 5 years. And then the advisor of the Japanese archery club was one of the English teachers I taught with. So she was like, you should just kind of be with us. And so 3 times a week I got to do Japanese archery, with my students and kind of coach them. And that was really awesome. And that was kind of one of those things where like, I would definitely not have been able to do that like at any other poly school. So I got to coach that, and that was really fun. And then also I think just like being able to see students go from like freshmen to seniors, kind of, first years to third years, I guess, in this case, and seeing them grow, that was definitely kind of helped me decide I wanted to be a teacher. So the good stuff was help me along with my career choices. And then I guess another thing, and this is for all 5 years of JET, is that I actually did JET right after undergrad. So I was 22, obviously a newbie to a lot of things. But I got to see a lot of examples of good teaching, and I got to see a lot of examples of bad teaching. And I think it's important to see both to be a good teacher. And so I definitely think that it gave me a wealth of experience that I really wouldn't have been able to get anywhere else, in terms of like good language teaching tactics, good, I think classroom management tactics, and things like that, because I think that I would have been a lot less ready to be a teacher in the U.S. Straight out of just college, like at some school that was like, oh yeah, you can speak Japanese, go ahead and teach it, right? I got to have like a 5-year like apprenticeship, right? On the JET program, watching a lot of different types of methods and techniques, and so I think that was a really, really good part for me.
No, a lot of these things, I mean, I don't know. Everything is ultimately what you make of it, right? I mean, and you can be in some really, really bad situations, and that's it can be tough to spin that into something good. But for the most part, if you're working with 1 or 2 bad teachers, I absolutely agree. I've been in that situation, and I've seen what happens when you can't control the classroom, and students sadly like lose respect for the teacher, and you kind of start to pick up on like the things that you shouldn't do as a teacher.
Yep.
So those are very valuable experiences if you know how to kind of pay attention and capitalize them for later on. Now, not everybody plans to be a teacher after JET, but if you do, I think both the good and the bad can be extremely helpful. So absolutely. Something I'll add, I'll try not to repeat some of the stuff that you guys have said, but from a more kind of personal experience, like not career-wise and not so much teaching-wise, but like getting to experience some of these things that you would only get to experience had you gone to school in Japan was just really fun and interesting, and I think ultimately helped me in my
both Japanese language ability, for example, because, it's not just remembering the words when you're learning a language, it's also being able to make references and make jokes and understand references. And of course, going to school and like these school events, all these things are an important part of growing up in Japan and being able to like talk about these things. So, being able to, for example,
go to Bunkasai or something.
Yeah, go to Bunkasai, practice with the clubs. Or, for example, when they were preparing for, at the elementary school that I worked at, when they were preparing for the sports day, right? They do this thing called the kibasen, which is, okay, so it's 3 people. They form like a triangle, 1 person in the front and 2 people in the back, and they all like hold hands or lock onto each other. And then there's this one, no, sorry, it's the other way around. 2 people in the front and 1 person in the back, I think.
I like how the 2 choices were hold hands or lock on to each other.
I think it's 1 person in the front, 2 in the back.
2 in the back?
Yeah, and then one.
So
they got
the person
feet.
sits on the person's shoulders.
Yes.
The person on top sits on the 2 people in the back's shoulders, interior shoulders, and their legs are on like everybody's kind of holding hands at the bottom, so their legs kind of, I guess, sit on top of that. And then they try to. It's modeling like a samurai battle where they're all like these teams of 4 kids are trying to take the hats off of the person on the top. They're trying to steal the hats off each other, right? So this is, I mean, you could say it's a dangerous thing because the kid on the top could fall, but whatever, it is what it is. Anyway, so I got to be one of the people in the back. And that's just such a unique thing that like, I didn't know what a kibasen was. I didn't know what this thing was until then. And then I got to like do that while they were practicing. I wasn't in the actual event, but I got to do this multiple times and it was fun. It was interesting. And I got to do this thing that I otherwise never would have been able to do. And now if this ever comes up in conversation, and sometimes it does, like I fully understood. I've kind of experienced it a little bit, right? Getting to sit in on classes and seeing how your elementary school kids learn these things. Like I got to sit in a class where they were learning the multiplication tables, and I got to see the kids like recite what they call the kuku, which is like when they're reciting like the memorized like ni, and then they go through the whole thing, right? And I got to see this, and now I know that this is how Japanese kids learn multiplication tables, which is not something you would. I mean, is it useful ultimately? I don't know, but it's super interesting, and it's this kind of cultural reference that you're not going to learn in a Japanese language class. You're not going to learn maybe by watching, your average, TV drama or whatever. It's these little things that every Japanese person knows, but you don't know it unless you go, right?
Yeah, I completely understand and agree with that, especially as someone who's probably going to live in Japan, if not forever, at least a long time. Since we didn't grow up in Japan, that's like the only way to see what that would have been like.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like the whole like first 20 years of Japanese life, you really have no idea except from hearing like second hand.
Yeah. Or like school lunches, like joking around about school lunches, right? Like it's this thing that we do in the US, right? Oh, school lunches are bad, right? But it's not really funny unless you've actually lived through it and you can get the jokes.
Foods.
Yeah. But if you, in Japan, as a teacher, oftentimes you get a chance to eat with, especially in elementary school, you get to eat the kyushoku, the school lunch, and you get to, for example, like everything comes with milk, right? And you can make the something that even Japanese people bring up is like, yeah, but I don't want to eat fish with milk. It's like those kinds of like little innocent, almost pointless things, but they are these things that ultimately can help you kind of relate and communicate better with Japanese people if you are really, really serious about the language. And like Ryan, especially if you're going to live there, it's these little things that unexpectedly sometimes come up in conversation, and you can joke around about it. You can make these references, and people like understand each other better, I think.
Yeah.
Cultural context.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I mean, you can watch like, we're never going to go and be high schoolers in Japan, but we can kind of peek in and get a better idea. And then, if you're watching an anime or something like that, you go like, oh, that's that thing. I understand this. Like you understand things, you appreciate things on a deeper level, I think.
As weird as it sounds to, occasionally it puts you, like the foreigner, as the expert in the situation, because high school life does change. So like if I'm talking to someone my age who went to high school, 10, 20 years ago, And I can be like, oh, we don't do that anymore. Now the high schools do this. And like, oh, really? And it's a weird situation to be in when you're explaining Japanese culture to a Japanese person.
Yeah, that's true.
But it does happen. Yeah. Especially with like our job, since the ALT program has been like so expanded, especially people who were our age or slightly older. Like the ALT program I think was around, but it wasn't quite as big, so they may have not had one, or they only had one they met like once a week or something.
Yeah. I mean, I know that there's so many more ALTs now that there were probably like 20 years ago.
Well, there were until Corona.
7, I think, but yeah. Well, now there's a bit of a different situation.
Now we're at an all-time low again. I don't know the actual number, but
yeah.
People have been leaving, but no one has been coming.
Yeah, but I mean, so the jet is a tricky thing. Like I said before, it's like there's good and bad, and there's all kind of different factors at play. There's different priorities, both from the native, teachers on the ground in Japan, and then also from, person going there for the first time, no teaching experience, and maybe they don't have any plans of being a teacher in the future, blah, 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 all kinds of things. But I was just kind of curious, and I did a quick search just to see if there's anything out there in Japanese media about what your average Japanese person might think of, JET or these like assistant language teachers. I found a survey, not a particularly thorough survey. Probably it's just an online survey that was about 2,000 parents. And one of the questions the one that stood out to me the most was, does your child?
How does your child feel about the ALT class?
Yes, at your school. Yeah, or something like that. And it was, I think like 20-ish% was like very much like, and then about 50% was
let's directly translate. Very like.
Very like, yes. And so like was about 50%. So the results of this survey were that like around 70% of these children, according to the parents, had a favorable impression of their classes and times with the ALT. So that's nice. I mean, like I said, it's not like some super scientific survey, but it's nice to know that at least the kids, for the most part, seem to appreciate that time with the ALT, and hopefully they're getting something out of it.
I've noticed even lessons that I think are like my weaker or bad lessons, the kids still like more than the other lessons.
Yeah,
I've literally had them cheer when I come into their class if it's like an unscheduled lesson.
Yeah,
more than once.
No, I've had plenty of very, I think, comparable experiences. Like, oh, hey, and they'll say my name, and they're happy to see me. So, yeah, like for the most part, we have a different approach to teaching than your the Japanese native teacher there. They are the more kind of business kind of, they have to teach for the memorization for the test and this kind of stuff. And for the most part, we can try to get them to use the language a bit more and be more active. So, there's less of that pressure, I think. So of course, we're going to have generally a more favorable kind of impression, I think.
I will say to anyone out there who might be considering trying JET, since I think Lynn had a mostly positive experience too, right? I feel like only Tony was very, very negative. I'm exaggerating. I know you're just bringing up your negative stories. But I will say, I think everyone in the area I'm in, Ishikawa, is fairly happy. I mean, there are more trouble schools than mine. But if anyone's applying, Ishikawa's not a famous city, so if you request it, you have a pretty good chance of getting it if anyone wants to use this as an opportunity to go to a nice city.
Yeah. One of the listeners could end up working in Ishikawa.
That would be cool if someone's like, I heard your podcast and that's why I came here. And then I'm like, oh crap, people listen to me?
What? I'm not just
there's a few people listening.
The void.
Yeah. So yeah, that's JET. Overall, I think everything depends on what you make of it and your priorities and your goals, and you can take advantage of both good and bad situations. Oversimplification, but I do recommend JET for anybody that wants to go beyond just spending a week or two in Japan and maybe actually be able to make a living, and the salary is pretty decent for a fresh graduate especially. So I certainly recommend it, and it's just up to you what you make of it. every situation is different, right? But
yeah. Following the what you make of it, I will definitely say, in case I imagine someone out there is like considering this, hopefully, your experience will be drastically better if you actually make an effort to kind of integrate into the city you live in. Because the people I know that are the least happy are the ones that... So I've known people that come here with zero Japanese, but they go to like Japanese lessons and like make an effort to try to like talk with people, and they like it. But I've also met people who come here with like zero Japanese and don't put any effort into learning Japanese, pretty much
and
become shut-ins at home.
Bubble.
Yeah,
Yep.
they live in the English bubble. They only talk with other ALTs, and then they just like go home and do everything online. You will not enjoy yourself as much if you do that. Like, strongly I recommend try to make Japanese friends, join Japanese things, and try just to like be out and social more. Even if it's scary to try to use the language, your life experience and experience in Japan will be much, much, much better.
Totally. Yeah.
Because the most negative comments I hear about jet experience among the people here now are definitely the English bubble people.
Yeah.
They also just sometimes fundamentally misunderstand Japan. I don't know how many times I've heard people saying like, "Oh, Japanese people have no concept of sarcasm." Like, yeah, they do. Use Japanese with them.
It's just different.
Yeah, and unfortunately, if you are in that sort of situation, and your only interaction is with the teachers, that is not, how can I put it, an accurate representation in a way, because especially if you're in a busy school, they've got their own things to worry about, and 99% of them can't take care of you. So they have to deal with their own stuff, and they are overworked and stressed, and you've got your problems, but they've got bigger problems.
They're generally very friendly, but their job is not to be your friend.
Yeah. So, as much as, it would be wonderful to have, your English, partner, teacher be your best friend, don't expect that.
Sometimes that does happen, but it's rare.
Sometimes it does. Absolutely, it does.
I had one that played fighting games with me
they're
online.
also single and if they are younger, but it will not happen if they have a family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Though at a certain point, it turns back around. Like once they're over like 60, then they're definitely down for like hanging out and having drinks with you.
Oh yes, yeah. There's like a curve. You gotta hit the right part of the curve.
Yeah.
The young ones want to hang out with you, and the really old ones want to hang out with you.
Exactly.
Exactly.
No middle ground.
But I would recommend, don't put all your expectations on the teachers. Try to go out and meet other people, because they're going to be usually, I think, the looser ones, the ones that are going to be, the ones that'll joke around with you and stuff, because you're there to socialize, right? At work, you're there to work. So, yeah.
Kind of off topic, but assuming people are interested in Jet, the other people I know who come here and are not happy is please don't expect Japan to be like anime otaku wonderland, because it is not. And yeah.
Yeah. There is that aspect, but that is just one aspect of a larger society, which we've said before on the show is pretty mundane for the most part.
Yes. Yeah.
No giant robots. So.
Yeah, no
Anime
giant
is
robots.
interesting because it's weird. That's not because it's normal.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But anyway, Lynn, what were you going to add?
I do want to say, though, one thing that I think I saw is that a lot of people who didn't have good experiences in my area, even if they spoke Japanese, was that they came from a very warm place, and they came to a place where it snows so much that you have to shovel every day. And so one of the things that we would recommend to kind of the newer jets that came was, pick up a winter sport. Or pick up, like get a hobby, or join a club that meets regularly throughout the year, regardless of the climate, right, the temperature. And so I had a friend who joined he was fluent in ASL. But he was not a deaf person, but he was fluent in ASL through a lot of things that he did in the U.S. And then he joined a JSL circle with a deaf community, and that was something that he did every single week, right? Regardless of whether it was snowy or whether it was like sunny out, it was like a very constant thing to look forward to during the week. So I think definitely if you're somebody from a different climate than wherever place in Japan that you're going to be at, take a look at if there's going to be any challenges to integrating to that, and then see what you can do. Just because, my friend who came from Louisiana, had a really rough time in the winter, right?
Yeah.
And almost left after a year, stuck it through, and actually ended up moving to Tokyo for a different job, and is now doing great. Has been in Japan since 2011, right? But that snow really was that big challenge right there. So just something. I don't think, Ryan, do you have a lot of snow in Ishikawa? Or
depends on the year. We do get snow. We're not shovel every day usually, but 2 years that I've been here, including this winter, actually, were both pretty snowy. I am also in the I hate snow camp.
Yep.
So my advice, if you're like me and you don't want to go out in the snow, get a kotatsu, because then at least you can have a comfortable little heat bubble. I don't know, but kotatsus are awesome.
Yeah.
Heat bubble better than English bubble. Recommend.
Yes.
Heat bubble better than
I do definitely recommend go out and do things, but
yeah.
I don't know. For me, sometimes on the weekend, it's I don't want to go shovel my car out. I'm just going to stay home.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So,
Definitely.
yeah. So, like I said, like always, there's good and bad, but overall, I think we're all happy with our experiences. We certainly don't regret it. We grew as people, as individuals, and now we're here talking into microphones. So one day you two can be like us.
And talking to a microphone.
One day you
Yes,
too
just
can
talking
get
to
a
a
microphone.
Yes.
Not until after you've been in Japan. It's. I mean, I know they'll sell you the microphone, but it's just not right.
It doesn't count.
Yeah.
It doesn't count.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you might be thinking but there's a whole bunch of people on TV who use microphones. All of them have been to Japan. They just don't brag about it.
Wow. Okay. We just broke news here. I didn't know that.
It's the secret Japan mic club. I guess I shouldn't have let that out, but
Okay.
Ryan, first rule
bad.
of Japan Mic Club.
do not talk
Don't
about
talk
Japan.
about it.
Broke it.
I'll get forgiven.
All right.
'cause
All right.
I'm the only one here who's still in
Thank
Japan.
you, guys. All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you
see
so
next
much.
time.